Good afternoon, lovely people. It's just the afternoon. I should have been saying good morning, but I've been gas bagging since I got here, so it's just gone noon. And I'm so excited today because, well, firstly, it's a beautiful day, yay. Secondly, I'm in the garden, double yay. But thirdly, because I'm actually going to do some planting and sowing today, at last. So, I filmed the April tour 2 weeks ago, and obviously I hadn't really done I've hardly done a thing in the garden this year at all. So, when I did that tour, I was kind of making note of priorities in terms of beds and what have you. And although I felt a lot behind with some jobs, actually, until the last few days, we've been having really quite cold nights still. So it's kind of 6 of one and half a dozen of the other, isn't it? I could have planted my potatoes a month ago and my onions a month ago, but because it's been so cold at night, they would have just kind of sat doing nothing. So hopefully now, slightly warmer nights, the soil is having a chance to warm up with some beautiful sunshine. So what I've done in the last 2 weeks, I haven't had a huge amount of time for the garden, unfortunately. So I think in these last 14 days, I think I've only had about 5 sessions in the garden. Haven't brought the camera with me, apart from, well, I showed you I was fixing my sign and doing my brassicas and what have you. Otherwise, I haven't had the camera with me because I just needed to focus and get on. I haven't really had time for making, editing, uploading, replying to comments, videos, that sort of thing. Plus, what I've been doing is quite boring in terms of bed prep. Don't worry, we're getting out there in a second. So just to say, with my beds, in the autumn, all the crops, whatever was left was harvested, and whatever plant material was left is just chopped up, and it goes on the ground on the bed. Literally any compost in my compost bin, whether it's composted or quite fresh, it doesn't matter, it goes on the top of the beds. Leaves, I mean literally any organic matter, so that each bed had, I would say, 2, nearly 3 inches, maybe about 5 centimetres, 6-7 centimetres of organic matter put on the top, cardboard down. Cardboard to protect it from lashing winter rain, which we did have at times. We so need some rain now. Apparently we're heading for having the driest April on record. I heard that on a weather bulletin last night. Anyway, so literally all I've been doing with these beds is I have had to fork them. I'm still at that stage because to have enough compost to put on the top to plant in would just cost way too much. I'm not spending crazy money on the garden. I will be buying some compost, but just not enough to not have to deal with my soil. So using my fork, just sort of tickling it up a little bit, not going too deep. I really am trying to look after my soil and the soil structure, but loosen it up enough to actually get anything into the ground. And where it's really lumpy and bumpy on the top, I've come along, soaked it with a watering can, leave it half an hour for that moisture to soak in, and then with my rake I can sort of bash the big lumps. I mean, the lumps are really big. I can bash them down a bit into not exactly a fine tilth, but at least a medium that I can plant seeds and other things in. Actually, I don't know why I'm sitting in here with you. Let's pop outside because it's so beautiful. So my priorities today are to get the potatoes in and get the onions in. I've got masses of onion sets now because my original order didn't appear. I was a bit panicked because I was looking around and couldn't find sets anywhere else, so I was kindly sent a load by Tony and Paul. I didn't know they were coming by the time I then found a company who were selling some, so I ordered some, but I accidentally ordered 2 lots, so I've got masses more here and here. That's fine. They're going to be divvied out around the whole site. either for people to have for themselves or for us to give to one of the local food banks, which would be great. So that's priority. Then hopefully if I get time, I've got the seed tin out as well, I'm going to look at doing carrots, leeks, parsnips, calendula. Doing the carrots slightly differently this year after the carrot disaster of last year. I made an observation last year which I'm hoping will help ensure better success this year, but more of that when we come to it. And frankly, it's such a beautiful day. I just want to sit and sit and sit and sit. I'm not going to. Let's start with the potatoes. Goodness me, what a warm, beautifully bright day it is today. I don't think I've ever planted my potatoes in such glorious weather. The latest I've ever planted them there was a year when I planted them in the middle of May. I think it was the year I broke both my wrists, but I still had an okay crop, so I'm sure these will be fine. But yeah, it does feel a bit odd to be sitting on the grass and it feeling like summer already, honestly. Now, spacing, I suppose ideally maybe a couple of feet. This is my main crop in this bed, Cara. The more space I give them, the bigger the tubers I will get, but bigger always isn't best. I do like to get a few big ones for baking, but actually a mixture of sizes is great and it's more versatile. So, they've all been sitting in the shed, chitting away. As you can see, oh, the light is so strong today we may have issues, but you can see these lovely little chits. They're stumpy, they're sturdy, they're strong. That's a great little start for them. Now, each chit represents a new stalk coming, and hopefully from each stalk a few spuds. Some people like to leave just 2 chits to get 2 main growing stalks. Some folk leave all the chits on. I take a few off if there are loads. On this one there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 chits in evidence. So any that are towards the bottom, that one at the bottom, just literally rub it off with my thumb, fingernail, whatever. It really doesn't need this many shoots. And then hopefully what that means is the shoots I am leaving will be good and strong. So I'm leaving 4 on this one. Now, I was mentioning about the bed prep. One of the things I also did was I've sprinkled some dried chicken manure pellets on. Then I did the whole wetting just to help to dissolve those chicken manure pellets before a bit of bashing with my rake. Basically, you see the mound in the middle, I'm going to be planting either side But rather than digging out whole trenches, I kind of don't have the space to do that because I'd need somewhere to put the soil and I don't have that. So rather than digging whole trenches, I'm just going to go down for each individual spod. It's nice and loose down there. And then this mound of earth that's up here, one of the reasons for sort of bashing it down with the rake a bit is so that it is loose enough so that I can start to pull it down over the shoots as they're coming up. There's a couple of reasons for doing that. One, if we do get a sudden threat of frost, I can quickly cover all those emerging tender shoots with soil to protect them. But also I want the potato as deep as possible so that as it's growing, it's got enough space to grow into to produce all the spuds off the side, as it were. The year that I struggled with my broken wrists, I didn't get them down very far and the ground was quite compact, and what happened is all the potatoes were struggling and they were sort of sitting on the surface virtually. So most of them went green because they were exposed to so much light. By earthing them up like this, I'm going to minimise that light exposure. So let's get planting. Where this bed is, this is sort of on level with the path. And obviously this sort of mound in the middle is probably about sort of 10 inches of mound. I'm going to try and go down 6, 8 inches. I want to get them down as far as possible. If I go much more than 10 inches here, I hit solid clay and I don't really want to bring that up. So yeah, as far as I can go. And I was saying about spacing, you know, obviously if I gave them loads of space, the idea being that they get nice and big. So as with everything in my garden, I'm really greedy, I really pack things in. So in fact, they're more like about 1.5 foot apart in the row, and then there's about 2 feet between the rows. And it was so well worth that forking effort I did on this ground, because I am really able to get in there. Shall I bring you closer so you can see? Hang on a tick. Let's pop this first one down there. Yay! Happy growing, spud baby! We have to encourage our plants, don't we? I do still have some quite lumpy bits in this bed, and the problem with, you know, clay soil is fantastic because it's really nutrient dense. The problem with it is when we don't have any rain and it's getting baked by the sun all day, it sets. You know, if you think about a potter making pots from clay and firing them, it's kind of like the effect of the sun on my soil. So anyway, it's okay, it's not too... In the other beds where I'm going to be sowing seeds, I have worked it a bit finer, I hope. So, oh sorry worm, oh I don't want to expose worms on a really hot sunny day. I don't want you to bake, little fella. Yeah, a good handful down. It's all going to cave back in, so I'm just going to pop, get it right down there and give it the best possible start. Can you see though? I hope you can see. There is moisture down there. Now, when I talked about doing the bed prep, and I said I wet them in order to... Oh, let me just get this worm covered up. I don't like them being exposed on hot sunny days. Yeah, when I was talking about wetting the bed to bash them down with the rake, that was really, really only on the surface. So it's amazing actually to see that moisture down there when you consider we've had no rain. But I think that just shows the value of all of that compost I put down and the cardboard over the winter. It's really kept and, well, helped to retain all that moisture. Right, I'm going to stop chatting for a minute and get all of these put in. Then we can move to another new bed to plant something else. Oh, happy, happy days. luck, little one. Wow, it really is moist. Yeah, good luck to you too. You're on your way, little one. For being at this stage again. Yay! Right. Pick and place. And so on. Yes, I like my straight rows. But you know what? It just makes it easier for planting out, and then later on easier for weeding between, and you know, it pleases me. End of. So in terms of spacing, they're sort of a handspan. I've got quite big hands. I would say it's around about 18 centimetres. So anywhere between 15 and 20 centimetres. Great. That's both in the row and then between rows. You only saw me putting 3 line markers out because I can't find my 4th one. So once this row is in, I'll hop this line over to make my last row there. I don't actually measure. It's just, you know, having done it over and over again, one just gets used to, you know, just doing it by eye. Ooh, untangle my leg. So yeah, I measure by eye. Not bad. If you're not confident to do that. And the other thing I do is they're all laid out on the top. Partly, then I just go along, dunk, 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 dead easy to pop them in. But also partly because I can just stand back and look and think, yeah, I'm happy with how they're laying. In previous years, having done it, if I've got, say, 10 sets, 10 bulbs left over, I might think, oh, I'll swap those out for that one, whatever it is. So they're all done. And then in terms of planting, very simply use my little dib a hole, pop it in and cover it so that just the tiniest, I mean maybe 2 millimeters of that very top of the little sort of papery neck of it is just above the ground. Helps to give them a good anchor. Once we're in, also just to say, sorry, this bed was also had chicken manure added, wet down to dissolve it yesterday. Unlike the potatoes, because the onions are sitting right in the top of the soil and it is dry in the top, once they're all in, I'll give them all a good watering, and then the nets will go on. The nets for 2 reasons for me. One is to hopefully dissuade the foxes from coming along. Foxes love a sort of freshly prepared bed. Someone told me once it's because when it's freshly prepared, that soil is freshly disturbed, that they have an instinct that another fox may have hidden their kill in the soil, so they want to dig it up and steal it. I'm not sure what it is, but anyway, yes, they love a freshly prepared bed. So the nets will protect the beds from the foxes. But also, again, I don't know whether it's one of these kind of urban myth things, but that birds see that little tiny bit of the neck of the onion sticking out and think, oh, that looks like a little wiggly worm sticking out, I'll have it, and they pull them out. I don't know if it's because they think they're worms or not. Are birds that silly? Whatever, birds do like to peck and pull them out. You know, many a time I've heard folk saying they've been to their allotment one day, they've planted all their onion sets, they come back the next day and find the whole lot of them up and on the surface of the soil. So yeah, I net for those 2 reasons. Oh, and just to say, the reason I'm dibbing the hole, even though this soil it's fairly loose on the surface, I did sort of fluff it up a bit. The bottom of the onion where the roots are going to come out, I don't want to damage it by just ramming it into the soil and possibly even ramming it into a stone. So yeah, just dib a little hole and pop it in. Oh, I'm going to say cheerio to you lot for now, because my friend Kay has arrived with the gorgeous Coco de Pampol. Have you ever heard of a cat called Coco de Pampol? Coco! Coco, come and say hello to everyone. She's so beautiful. Oh, her brother's coming now. Monroe, oh, he's a gorgeous boy. No, they're far too busy bouncing around and being mad cats. Oh, here they come. I'm going to keep you on just for a minute longer, just in case Monroe comes, because they're so gorgeous. Come on, baby boy and girl. Come on. Ooh, what's this? Monroe. Scratchy, scratchy. Scratchy. Monroe.
Oi.
No, they're not playing. They're not playing. Right, you're all going off. Oh, maybe. Kay's walking round with cocoa beans.
Here we go, Cocoa Bean.
Oh! Where is she?
She's in the shade.
That's Coco de Pampol, the cat. No, they're going everywhere but on screen. Okay, do me a favour, will you turn my camera off, please?
How do I do
the
that?
button on the back saves me. This has been such a long, hard week this week. Long hours, crazy, crazy long hours. I'm kind of nudging back to sort of 16, 18 hours a day again, and also sort of physically challenging and a bit mentally challenging too. So, I've just hit a bit of a wall. Yeah, I think it's just all suddenly caught up with me. I feel absolutely done in. So I'm going to be sensible. I am going to hold off the sowing of carrots and parsnips and leeks and calendula till I think either tomorrow or the following day. The beds are ready for them, great. That's the hard bit. And yeah, so for the rest of the afternoon I want to water the rest of the garden, broad beans, garlic, cold frame, deck, get the nets back on those onions. And then I'm going to give myself a treat. I'm going to just sit out there and do nothing. I'm going to give myself an hour. I do need to get home, there are things I need to do at home, but I am just, that's it now. Do those last bits and then I'm going to stop. It's such a beautiful day. I hope the noise has been alright. It kind of hadn't really registered with me until now. It's been quite breezy, but all the time I've been out in the garden, in the background I can hear the faint tinkle of my gym chimes. There they go again. Yes, such a beautiful day. We're in the middle of spring and finally it really does feel like spring. It feels like the garden is going again. Yay! Oh my goodness, I ache all over. So, that's it. I'm going to say cheerio to you all. I hope you're managing to get on. I know some of you are still having intermittent bouts of snow. Good grief. Hopefully we really, really, really are near the back end of frosty nights and risks of snowstorms. Oh, I do hope so. Alright, my lovelies, I'll see you again soon. Hopefully back in the garden. Oh yes, I think we might have a bit of a flower day. Flower power. Some more seed sowing, some more bed prep. There's a lot to do, but that's because it's spring. There's always a lot to do at this time of year. Now that the potatoes and onions are in, I feel like I'm caught up. I can sit back now. Well, I will sit back for an hour. So, until the next time, please look after yourselves. Look after your gorgeous, precious little growing spaces and your gorgeous, precious little seedlings. And yeah, I'll see you again soon, I hope.